And next, we'll hear from Tim Carpenter. He is the National Director at Progressive Democrats of America on what you've been doing lately and how to execute an inside-outside strategy. Welcome, Tim.
Hey, Maya, how are you? Thanks for the opportunity.
Oh, gosh, I'm doing well. How are you?
We're having the time of our lives. A little busy. Big show today, huh?
Yeah, very much so. Thanks for coming on. So listen, Tim, the progressives in the Congress have been trying to, in some respects, or at least a slice of them, toe the line when it comes to, defending the nation's social insurance programs, particularly the big three, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. And as you well know, this notion of a grand bargain and using a grand bargain as the way out of us or to using austerity as a way to reduce deficits and debt has been the policy preference of the Washington elite of both parties. And so I know that the Progressive Democrats of America have been trying to find and help Democrats find their true north, if you will. And how do you actually propose to do that?
Well, we're certainly looking for that North Star. Well, this struggle really began during the Bull-Simpson debate, as you know, Maya, when we were fighting simply to get the whole discussion of moving from austerity to prosperity. We simply can't cut our way out of this. We've got to put the military into the formula, and it was back then that Congresswoman Jan Schakowsky led the fight. While the president was not successful through the Bull-Simpson Commission to get the cuts he wanted on Social Security, we fast forward now 14, 15 months later, and here we are. As you've done today on your program, so eloquently laid out for everybody the attacks on Social Security that simply not need to be the chain CPI and so forth. So for us, within Progressive Democrats of America, it's very simple. We have to shift this debate away from austerity to prosperity. We've begun that in earnest. Last week, Congressman member Keith Ellison reintroduced the Robin Hood tax, known as the, right now that's currently been reintroduced into the House, is the Inclusionary Property Act to tax Wall Street to begin a revenue stream. That's H.R. 1579. And then more importantly, as you said throughout the day today, those progressives, we sometimes forget there are 73 members that are self-identified within the Progressive Caucus that call themselves progressives. And of those, 41, through the leadership of Alan Grayson and Mark Takano, have signed a letter that we are really organizing around right now is to hold the line on Social Security, whether it be on the chain CPI or simply not to raise the retirement age. So that's where the fight is right now. We were in 107 congressional district offices last month. We plan to be on May 15th again. So we hopefully can take all of this knowledge today and take it out into the streets. We need an active, progressive community out in the streets and in those congressional offices to let those members know that we're going to hold them accountable on this important fight.
So what does that mean? Because I have to push you. I had Congressman Grayson on a couple of weeks ago, and he actually indicated, I asked him, there were only 41 members on his letter. What about the other progressives? What do you think that this says? He says that he thought that actually they should be primaried.
Progressive Democrats of America was founded in 2004 in that belief. We went after Alan Wynn and helped elect Donna Edwards. We were very active in the electoral cycles of 2004, 2006, again with Christine Segalis out in Illinois when Rahm Emanuel, the head of the D-Trip, was trying to push, at that time, Tammy Baldwin. We think we need a primary fight. We think this party will be much stronger with the primary fight. We were found on that basis. We are the insurgency. We're certainly not the Democratic Party. It's unconscionable that we're even having this discussion. Those members that are standing up have made it very clear this is something we should be proud of as Social Security. This is our legacy. This is FDR and LBJ when we talk about Medicare, when we talk about Medicaid. The fight is inside our own party. So those 41 are the ones we need to surround and increase those numbers. We jokingly sometimes inside Progressive Democrats of America find ourselves really being the progressive wing of the Progressive Caucus. So yeah, we're truly in a fight for the heart and soul of our party. This began when Barack Obama was elected. We had no illusions that he was a progressive. He threw single payer under the fight. Just as we were in congressional offices last month fighting to protect Social Security, we were there to remind folks that Congressman John Conyers has reintroduced H.R. 676, the Expanded and Improved Medicare for All Act. We should be talking about expanding these programs, not cutting them. That's why we're aligning ourselves with Alan Grayson, and we certainly do have a fight within our own party.
Okay, so say this. If somehow the president manages to get certain Democrats on board with a chain CPI proposal, a balanced approach is what he's calling it, if he manages to get the Republicans to come along, and if somehow this thing passes, what is the next step?
Well, we don't get to that point without a good fight. So until we get there, we need to make sure on May 15th, everybody who's frustrated on this fight gets out in the streets, goes to their offices. This is not the time to be on the sidelines. It's not time to shut down and leave the Democratic Party. The fight is inside our party. Jim Hightower, who many of your listeners know, the former agricultural commissioner out in Texas, who's part of our advisory board, probably one of the leading populists in this fight, often says, we don't need a third party, we need a second party. So the fight's inside this party, Maya. If we lose this particular fight, we keep struggling. We make sure in 2014 that we get out in the streets and we organize and we elect more progressive Democrats. We know simply by electing Democrats we're not going to get to where we need. We need progressive Democrats. We need to look back on this last election cycle and realize we came in less than 1,000 votes to elect Dr. David Gill out in Illinois, who was a single-payer doctor. What would have happened if the progressive community would have gone that extra mile out there, or if we were successful in Northern California and received another 200 votes to get Norman Solomon into the general election out in Northern California to replace Lynn Woolsey? We've got to get engaged in congressional races across this country where we can send people to Congress like Alan Grayson and Mark Takano who are going to hold the line for us and fight inside our party. So if we happen to lose this fight, we simply don't give up. We roll up our sleeves and we struggle and we organize and we mobilize.
And so my last question for you is, do you have any high-profile New Democrat targets?
At this point in time, we'd like to see David Gill return. As I said, he came very close when he ran for re-election. The good news for us is to begin to look out over the landscape right now. As you said, 2014 begins now in earnest. We encourage folks to visit pdamerica.org, look at the website. Between now and Tuesday, we have a chance to elect a really good progressive to go to the U.S. Senate. So let's stay focused on the short term. Between now and Tuesday, let's make sure we get Ed Markey on his way to the U.S. Senate and begin there.
Thank you, Tim Carpenter, National Director of Progressive Democrats of America. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Maya. Have a good one.
All right. So, thanks to each of my guests and my listening audience for joining me for yet another edition of Pivot Point with Maya Rockeymoore. I'd also like to thank my producer, Peter James Callahan, and our show's sponsor, the National Committee to Preserve Social Security and Medicare. Please join us every Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time at 1480 a.m. in Washington, D.C., or listen anywhere in the world on weactradio.com. Until next time, America.